Hey guys, so today we are going through the old school, the one, the only, the Pec Dec. It is a fantastic exercise, and today I'm going to show you a couple little variations and setup points that you want to make sure that you're nailing in order to get the most out of this exercise. First things first, we want to create stability through our lats and promoting our chest. Why do we want to do that? Well, constantly I see people in the gym, and when they do this exercise, they round right off and they say that they start to load their shoulders. You see them and they're like this, and they're just really hunched over trying to get those few extra reps. Well, what we know about that is that first of all, you're going to cause potentially, well, you're going to load your anterior delt, that's a given, and that's probably going to be pronounced, and it's probably going to make your chest look worse than it really is. However, that's probably the best case scenario. The worst case scenario is that you might create damage through your shoulders, which when you go then to transfer yourself into different exercises such as bench press, dumbbell press, any presses through your chest, you're not going to get, they're going to feel horrible, and you're not going to get that chest pump that you're after and that chest development. So how do we rectify that? Well, we want to pull our shoulder blades back and down. So when we do this exercise, we want to create 2 points of contact on the bench at all times, and probably the third point of contact is on the ground. So the 2 points that I'm referring to is our hips are going to be jammed back into the bench, and also our shoulder blades are going to be pulled back and down, creating a flat back and promoting our chest. You can see how much when I do this, my chest is in the game and activated compared to when I sit up and slouch and come in. You can see that, well, my chest doesn't come in until I'm right in close. So that there is a little tip that you want to make sure that you are nailing each and every time. Now, with the Pec Dec, a lot of people also start to, so when they set up, they get themselves in. Now you can put your feet wherever's comfortable. I actually like to put them slightly forward, so I jam my hips back into the bench, but you can also, if you want to over exaggerate that thoracic extension like they do in, say, a bench press, you can place your feet behind you. That is completely up to you, but it's all about those 2 pivot points, which is your hips on the back of the bench and your shoulder blades pinned back and down. Now from here, a lot of people like to grab and use their hands and drive it forward with their hands. I would suggest that you change your train of thought and start pulling through these elbows, okay? And this is going to load up the bottom portion of your pec a great deal more and really work that big fat head. Now, what we need to know is that whenever we're doing a flat fly such as this, and we're not so much on a 45-degree angle, we're going to always load up the big portion of our chest, which is the sternal head of the chest. Versus if we're tilted up, we're going to potentially, don't get me wrong, we're going to activate it all, but most of the load is going to be driven through this particular, the lower part of the chest, which is your sternal head. If we tilt up slightly and go into a 45-degree, you're going to hit the clavicular head, which is up here near your collarbone. Right, so when we're in this position here, we're going to really pronounce this sternal head, and we're going to hit that. So what I would suggest you do, instead of sort of using your hands, and your hands could potentially move you into a rounded off position anyway, just without even realizing it. I would suggest that you almost take your hands out of the game, so just rest them or come out nice and wide like you would a normal dumbbell fly. Pull your shoulder blades back and down, drive that force through your elbows, squeeze that chest. Now a lot of people end up coming to here and all the way down. We need to come all the way in. So I want to think when I'm doing this that I am clapping my hands. Now here's a little trick as well. To gain a little bit more contraction at the very top of this exercise, think about bringing your pinkies in, so you're coming in this position like that. This will gauge your chest so much more, and you can do this at home. Is that if you come in with your pinkies, you're going to get a big pec or big pec squeeze. If you just come in to clap, it's probably not as hard as you'd like. So again, and you can transfer that into your dumbbells as well, slight little rotation. So we're going to pinkies coming in first, shoulder blades pinned back and down, my hips are going to be pinned up against the bench, my 2 pivot points from here, pinkies are going to come in and I'm going to clap my hands, shoulder blades back and down, squeeze, clap, 1, control the negative. Now this is one thing about a fly as well. The fly is so much better for you if you concentrate on the on the opening part of the fly or the stretch phase of the fly than it is so much of the concentric. So I want you to put more emphasis on the negative and slow it down. Slow that negative down. When you're coming out, slow it down, open up, and then come back in, squeeze that chest. So again, we'll go through one more time. Shoulder blades backing down, pivot points 1 and 2, which is my shoulder blades and my hips. Place your feet wherever it's comfortable. For me, it's slightly behind my hips. Hands out nice and wide or slightly rested, but I'm going to be pinkies first coming in and squeeze that chest. Whoop. 1, control, slow. 2, slow, feel that opening. There's my stretch. Come in, slow, stretch, bang, and you are going to feel your chest come alive, and it will very much fill up very quickly and give us a fantastic pump, which is essentially what we're after when we do this particular exercise. Fantastic warm-up exercise, so if you want to get some blood there and then go and do your big heavy presses, fantastic accessory exercise, and overall a fantastic exercise. You can't really stuff up your range of motion because well, this is going to take you through the range that I want you through. And also your risk to injury is pretty low, provided that you hit those pivot points that we're talking about, not round off. And there's one more thing I want to tell you, and that is, I think that's it. Okay, that's it. Team, that is there how you go about doing, oh yes, that's it. Adjust your height and make sure that when you're coming in, it is pretty much the reverse process of the rear delt exercise where you pull your hands apart. We want to just have that same motion coming into the middle. So we can start a little lower than that though. So instead of starting parallel, we're actually going to start just that little bit lower, pronounce that chest, and think about bringing your hands in at the highest point of the chest, okay? So pinkies are going to align with the highest point of your chest. That there, team, is how you want to go about doing your pec deck exercise. Go get those chest gains.